now it's just that
the long cooldown.
It's just such a long cooldown, and a lot of the times you see the chaotic offering maybe setting up 1 kill, maybe 2. But as long as it's like a somewhat even trade, the enemy team can just take full advantage of it, because Warlock a lot of the times is just really weak without the ult.
If you don't take a tower, it feels like it's not worth dropping the golem. That's how I feel about it. Like, if once you drop the golem, you commit, you have to get an objective. If you don't get an objective, you must make sure you get a lot of kills, which sometimes doesn't happen. You drop it for a key kill on the carry, and you don't get an objective. It feels like it's not worth it at the end of the day.
That's what I feel like. Instead, they'd go for what could kind of fill those shoes, but be a safer pick in like a DK, being able to utilize his ultimate to get objectives and take fights, whereas Warlock could be a bit too spicy.
Right. But at the same time, I guess it also depends, right? Are you already up a game? Do you want to go strong in the very first game?
But the Dragon Knight, it feels like Dragon Knight is weak in the lane, though. So I mentioned a lot of it will come down to their mid play. Whoever gets the better start in the mid lane, and Dragon Knight is weaker at the start, so it might actually play to the fact that giving the opponent a better lane, like better lane matchup, let's say Queen of Pain versus Dragon Knight, it will allow maybe G to have a better start and then snowball his team like into a much stronger mid game. So I feel Dragon Knight has his merits, but at the same time he's weak. He's weaker, a lot weaker at the start in the lane. So there's still a negative part of the pick itself.
Right. I mean, because you guys are mentioning, well, it's probably going to be an action-packed game anyway. At that point, in some ways, the lane phase could matter more, because whoever's going to be a little bit ahead can start just taking charge and taking initiative and causing those actions to happen, and the snowball could start rolling very early on for sure. Now, going in then, both teams are already in the lobby. Now, one last question from my end, just something curious. How worth it is it to, if you had, let's assume that both teams have just one strategy, they were like, we're going to save this till we absolutely need it, or like, let's say it's like the finals and 1 game away from the championship. This is what that was saved for. How worth it is it to bring something out like that to get into the upper bracket?
This is like a $200,000 game, right? So
yeah.
There you go.
So grand final for a $200,000 tournament happening right now.
There you go.
I would say it's worth it.
That's a pretty simple answer. Yeah, definitely a lot on the line. I mean, when we just keep saying upper bracket, lower bracket, it can just sound like, oh, second chance.
When you put the numbers in it, then it feels serious.
Yeah.
Playing a best-of-1 elimination match is super scary. I think it's of course, there's the prize money, and there's the fact that you get the second life, but it's just as much that the life you get should you lose in the winner bracket. It's still a life you would rather have than the first round life.
Right.
Best of ones will be a lot about, like, you'll be really scared going into the series, because you'll be like, you can't ever prepare fully for a team's best of one. Have like a crazy strat they've just saved, and they pull out some sort of cheese strat or whatever that only works once because it catches you off guard, and you're like, I would have loved to play you guys again just so we can take that strategy out of play and just beat you in a normal game, but you don't get the second chance. So it's very scary for every team in the lower bracket. Now, of course, the team that does lose this will still have the opportunity. They will still be able to pick their opponent. But
very true.
But no matter who you pick,
at that point,
there could always be something. Like every team in the lower bracket, if they're smart, will prepare some sort of, like, a little, not necessarily a completely different strategy, but at least a little bit of a twist that the other team isn't used to. Whether it be a surprise pick or surprise laning, or those are, I guess, generally the two main things you could tweak very easily. And just you really want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at a tournament like TI, it doesn't matter if your opponent, you got to choose and they were the last in their groups and they didn't have a strong showing. A best of one, really, anyone could take it, right? It's not like you go in and you're like, oh, well, you get to play a best of one against 5 Chobras. That's pretty easy peasy, no matter what they bring. Like, we get to win. It's not that kind of situation. They made it into TI5. Like, they are given that much respect. Everyone's here. We've been looking at these player stories. Everyone's here super hungry to say TI is why, like, everything matters. This is where Dota 2 really matters. This is where everyone gets to strut their stuff, so to speak. So that is a pretty scary proposition. Of course, neither team wanting to move down there. At the same time, I mean, do you think there's some level of a personal pride thing here, being from the same region and wanting to say, like, well, we moved out of the groups as a stronger one from the CIS region? Do you think that's coming into play at a personal level between these two teams?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a thing, when you're competing against a fellow team from the same region, you definitely want to feel, you come into TI, you want to prove that we are actually the best from our region. So I think it's going to feel the match with both of the teams trying to prove that they're actually the best team from the CIS region.
These guys are really young too, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
could see him thinking like that too. Like, there's a lot of pride probably with him. Aloha Dance is 17. I can't believe it. He's a baby.
You know what? Like, they're probably going to prove I'm actually the better Rubik Lil.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
oh,
wouldn't mind
yeah,
seeing that,
yeah. There's definitely something.
Gyrocopters as well. Illidan plays a good one. Silence known to play a good one.
This is like the national championship, and then the winner goes to
The,
They both go to the international. But
No, the
one of
winner
them gets
gets
credit.
$200,000.
yeah, and they get a second chance. They get to play more games on that international stage. No matter, the more we talk about it, the more angles we're going to find on why this matters actually so much more for both the teams. These teams, you can see them. I mean, I don't think anyone can kind of let their guard down. Both teams look pretty nervous and very focused at the same time. It's not anymore about how tired you might be or, how scared you might be, even if you are. It's not coming into play right now. Both teams just reviewing. Last minute, of course, you don't want to make any silly mistakes when that much is on the line.
I don't know how long ago they played each other, so they probably need to get a crash course once again on how that last time they played each other went. They've played a lot of teams since then, a lot
Right.
of games, so they
Yeah,
want
I
to make sure
mean,
they can get a
and
crash
so-
course on what to expect.
didn't it was day 2?
Yeah, day 2, it was like also, but at that very end,
End of day
Empire,
2.
yeah, Empire also had like a long day that day, and that's why I think they looked super happy. But after that, right, both of them, like every match mattered. Like, oh, do we still keep our chances alive or not? They probably haven't had much of a chance to go back and think, because you come into TI5's group stage thinking, all right, it's a round robin, let's prepare super hard, win, move on. Then you
Yeah.
got to review your next opponent's previous games from the days before. So yeah, they definitely probably want to spend some time here.
This is the first best of 3, right? So
That's true. First best of 3.
that could be a different experience in itself. We'll see. First 3-game stretch.
Yeah,
More
that's-
Dota.
That's
Even
that's the
more.
best way to put it for all of our audience, of course, watching from home. More Dota for sure. At the very least, 2 more games, so no different than another best of 2. But we could very well go to a best of 3, and that's exciting because this could show us things to come for at least one of these teams who does go into that upper bracket. That's pretty exciting. I mean, how excited are you guys about the main event? Because almost everything's settled now, except for these 2 teams on who's in the upper and who's in the lower bracket.
It's always an amazing experience, and this year it's going to be even better than last year. The whole arena is going to be crazy, packed with people, all the spectacle,
Yeah.
everything around it is it's always phenomenal. And of course, as far as the quality of games, I think we pretty much all agreed that the quality of
Yeah.
like, the
Everyone is stronger.
Yeah, the level of play is just higher.
Right.
And it also seems like the metagame, but you could be tricked by that because last year a lot of people criticized, of course, thought it was a letdown that the finals were as short as they were, and they were. I think it was 3-1, right?
Yeah, it was
It was 3-1, and the games were pretty short. It was a lot
Right.
about like face rush, really early pushing and pressure like that, and they forget a lot the build-up there was until those grand finals. Like it was just the end of the playoffs that had like those super short games, but a lot of the games along the way were incredible. That said, though, it does seem like the metagame now makes for longer and more exciting games, and
Yes.
that because the thing is at TI4 we did have a couple of those like super early push strats during the group stage. Like Vici Gaming, for example, played a lot of them and had like 15-minute wins. I think the shortest game we've had this TI was 25 straight by
Right.
Cloud9.
Yeah, that was
So-
the IG game.
Yeah, and that was a shutout.
So that
like,
bodes pretty well
speaks to it.
for some more drawn out and more exciting games that are less predictable.
We're in a great spot right now, I think, with the patch. I don't want to speak too soon, but I mean, I agree with you. We've had games from 20 minutes up to 90 minutes already here at the
Yeah.
group stage. Single, double, triple rapiers. I mean, we're fortunate enough to see those kind of games in a grand final, so I think there's a great chance that we could see that. And as I said before, at the actual main event for the atmosphere, we're all here to celebrate Dota as a game, and everyone's going to be way into it. I mean, people are getting hyped up. This group stage, the storylines that have already been built up are super exciting. People are looking forward to see these teams live on the stage perform. And, we got teasers about things to expect at Key Arena, and I'm very excited to see some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Winter, what about you? How excited are you to be here?
I think for me, the most exciting thing is the diversity of the hero pools. Like last year, there's also a lot of heroes, but I feel this year it's been broader. There are a lot of heroes picked, and the strategies.
Both
and
eHome and
most
a little
importantly,
bit
I
split
feel
up here
the biggest
on
change
Empire,
is
but
the
it's good.
itemization. The new items really, it's a different phase for the supports. Supports
Right.
usually don't get to do so much with their gold. You don't get too much gold, but currently you have a lot of new items that have been being popularized on the supports, like the Solar Crest, the Glimmer Cape. These are the 2 biggest items, and they allowed a lot of supports to shine when they couldn't before. And I'm really excited to see because I'm really the support guy, so I like to talk about the supports.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all you guys watching from home, thank you so much for sticking with us as we just about are ready to go into game number 1. Draft just kicks off between Virtus Pro and Team Empire. Of course, to all of our fans on the other side of the world, it's getting late, but if you're still here watching live, that's awesome and amazing. And look at that. We talked about these Naga, Qua, Lesh all being banned out from either side.
The staples.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this tiebreaker, you don't really want to
Both
let
Eom and
any of
EG
those go from the get-go.
First Pro, Shadow
Way
Fiend
that
Pro.
always want to fly is not going to be
Come
able
up
to use them
here.
when he's
Or do roll
here's
every
for Hot 6. Like, you do
occasion.
not want to
See.
have to TP.
You expect. But Gyro, yeah, no surprise. First priority for both if Lesh is not there.
Right.
Both
There's
Eom
an
and
Undying
Undying,
for that 4th seed. There is an
not
Undying.
that good to pick into Gyro generally, but if you can
Serious.
play
Yeah,
around it, it
and they're
can
gonna
still
be
be worth it.
Right?
I mean, you could also be worried about giving away the Undying plus the Gyro together if you don't pick it. I mean, it could be also a possibility why you're picking the Undying into the Gyro because of both the teams having the very similar playstyles, very aggressive, and Undying could fit in both of the teams' lineup really well.
Now, we've seen more and more people also favoring to pick Dazzle within the first phase. Do you think that will come into play here? Because again, we talked about this just the match before. Dazzle plus Gyro, pretty darn safe combo.
It's also very good with Shadow Fiend, as EG
Yeah.
showcased a little bit.
It's got to be right here. I mean, armor synergy. It's just when you
There's
don't
Tusk
have
too.
access. Yeah, Tusk is.
I mean,
Tusk is
Empire
fine.
didn't really prioritize the Tusk so much before, so
Or just go with the
That's true. Yeah, the Shaker also slipping by. I mean, generally not as high priority in most of our matches, but between these two teams, not too super.
yeah, it's a very good pick in the sense that the support it provides for the Shadow Fiend. Sometimes Shadow Fiend you run into trouble in the early phase and you need someone to babysit you all the time. Like Earthshaker is always there with the Fissure, and he can also help Shadow Fiend with stacking of camps. So it's in general